using and trading with TradeIQ. Let's get into the video. Well, welcome everyone. You're not used to seeing me at this time of the day, but we've been doing weekly Zoom meetings for the past month after I released the product TradeIQ. So today we're doing it live here on YouTube. I'm still working on getting a format that is going to be good for an educational type environment. So but while we're waiting for the room to get going, let's I'm going to bring up some markets and just spend a couple minutes, since once again we're having another historic Friday. Last night in the video I talked about I didn't think we were going to get another Moonshot Friday. Well, wrong. We got another one. It's just unbelievable. Even the boys can shoot at each other and the markets still go up. So nothing stopping this market at all. People thought I was crazy the other day when I was talking about 10,000. Well, I think what we're about to see, and I've been saying this for a while, we all got distracted by this war situation and forgot the narrative, or at least maybe I did. I let it go for a while, got involved in the day-to-day war stuff. But when we start looking at the environment that we're looking at right now, this is amazing, absolutely amazing. And there doesn't seem to be anything to stop it. And once again, we're seeing the markets scream back, and the NASDAQ, up over 300 points. Amazing stuff. So we'll let the room get filled up a little bit, and then we'll kick right into the presentation today. Let me just bring up let's bring up the S&P. We'll bring up the E-minis. As you know, I focus primarily on the futures on this channel, mainly because of the time of night that I do it. I don't go into a lot of deep cash analysis, but in the end, it all works out. So, but yeah, if you look at this market, last night I talked about we're probably going to see some, a nice firm market, but didn't think we'd punch in above 7,400, but we've done that. In fact, we've done it in a big way. I'm going to bring up last night's sheet here real quick, and we'll start here, and then we'll kick right into getting into the presentation that I'm going to do today. But this is right here. You can see we're right at the STX level right now. And let me bring the sheet up, see if I can get everything aligned here. And last night, one of the things that came out of the sheet in the trade opportunities, it said if we break 73.71, which we did last night, that the target would be 73.93 to 74.15. So that was the trade recommendation from the sheet last night when you ran it. We'll rerun some new sheets and take a look at some breakdowns of what they were telling us. But it was highly, and when we look at the numbers here, last night there was 86% chance of getting to 74.15. And when I ran this sheet up at the top here, it was 73.58 when this sheet was run, when this analysis was given last night. And so we look here, you see 86% probability of 74.15. There was an 81% possibility of 74.34. And if we come over and look at the market here, the high is 74.27. So we went right to almost to the extreme. We're right at the RTX level. So this is pretty phenomenal. I'm gonna put a weekly chart up. The room's starting to fill up pretty good. So we'll switch over, but just too much going on in the market, not to mention, I know people are going to be coming on here and wanting to know what's Bob thinking about the markets. We could, I'm going to say these words out loud, but we could see the extreme projection of 77.40. That's right, that's 300 points from here. We could see that in the next 2 weeks, no problem. The way it's going, this could be next week. This is a complete melt up that we're seeing here, and it's like so much was cooped up from the standpoint of this war going on. Money went to the side, but not a lot of selling happened from material, from like really pounding and trying to get the market negative. So all we saw was this sideways movement. If we go back real quick, this is a daily chart. We got a RTX sell signal the other day. We should get 1 to 2 days of slightly down or sideways. We got 1 day, and then we've got an outside reversal bar, and I'll just come up here because I want to do a quick analysis here, and then we're into the meeting. But we're getting an outside reversal bar right now, so we made a lower low than yesterday, higher high. If it doesn't matter where we close, but when you see one of these, if we close higher, sometimes that can be I have to say this because it's a part of analysis this could be a climactic moment. So we could come right back into the pattern. Last night I was talking about going sideways into the moving averages, coming into the 10-day moving average. I told you that anything that looks like a simple 10 right now on a value, you got to buy it. It's a buy the dip moment. But this is still seeing some rounding coming in here. And if we look down here at the algos, you see everything, the PPM 1 and 2 are starting to lose some momentum. It doesn't mean that it's going to go down. It just means that possibility of a consolidation. So we're just seeing everything that technically perfect. I've been talking about all the metrics and everything that's coming out, that's going on here, and it's like it's not Goldilocks. It's the porridge is hot. Okay, you can't even think about eating this. This is just screaming bull here. This breakout, it's part of, like I said, it's almost like this annual cycle. If we go back a year ago, last April, this is the same thing that happened. Once a vertical move, we got that V bottom. It just kept going. It wouldn't stop. And, we had another one. Like I tried to remind in Substack the other night, is that we had a 15% month in April in the NASDAQ. I mean, these are insane numbers. I remember when we used to have 15% returns in a year. Now we got that in 1 month in April again. And last April, I didn't go through the numbers, but it was the same thing. So, but the point here is the analysis sheet. I may have a weekly. Hopefully I ran a weekly, but we'll do a couple of things. We'll probably, by the time I get through everything I want to go through today and answer questions, because there's there's hundreds of people using TradeIQ, so we're going to have questions there as well. And I would ask you right now, if you would, is if you have questions, I'm not going to be looking and responding to the chat line right now, but if you have questions about TradeIQ, go ahead and put in your questions. Take your time. By the time I get through the presentation, then I'll come back and we'll go through all the questions. And I think this is going to keep things much better from that standpoint. But markets are phenomenal, okay? But this was all spelled out yesterday. So if you ran this sheet on right after the overnight opening yesterday, 5 o'clock New York time, 6 o'clock New York time, if you would have done that, you would have had this information in front of you and ready to roll, and it called this trade. I was not even believing that it was going to hit these upper numbers, but there's just no resistance up here. I mean, we're in all-time new ground. This has always been, just real quick, and then we've got the room filling up pretty good. So this is always been the toughest thing. And matter of fact, I'll bring one of the things, I don't have them on the screen, but one of the things that I built, it was around 1992. And when you get into all-time new territory, how do you figure out where resistance numbers are? That would be a whole another video. And these are things I'm going to start doing, is more educational, how to deal with different things in the market. These are kind of videos that I want on my channel going forward. It's going to evolve more and more towards education, but also tying in some analysis with it as well. But how do you figure you're at all-time new highs? Where's resistance? It's not nowhere. It's somewhere, and this was an equation I had. So there's something in the WaveTech suite called the webs, and they're regression lines. And I will do a show because they're worthy. I have them on my trading terminal up on top. I use those for intraday trading, for pattern recognition, but more importantly, when you're running here, you've got to find a way to figure out where these markets are going. And this is what TradeIQ is doing. It's using some of this math as well to try to figure out, okay, where's the resistance? Well, there are no numbers, but it did figure out, if we, let me go up screen so you can see this. These are the numbers that it was telling you last night. You've got this was the range, and also gave us a percentage of these being reached. And I've been discussing these, and this is part of the TradeIQ math that's going on, is trying to figure out, not only is there a resistance point, but what's the probability of it being hit? I mean, and the spectrum of what's coming out of these metrics that we're in. We're in a parabolic curve. So these parabolic curves, when they get, I've talked about this before, the regime is completely different than any trending regime, okay? A trending regime is where you have moving averages and the market's trading, bouncing off the averages, and there's a nice trend. When you get extended a long ways above this, maybe 2 standard deviations above the moving averages, that the moving averages aren't even in play yet. If you've been around the channel a while, you hear me go, these averages aren't in play. What that means is they're detached from the regime of the trend. They're still going up, but there's different elements and different things that are going to affect the markets, and what's going to cause rejections and reversal of support levels. Everything switches up, and this is where like TradeIQ is going to really be useful in these kind of environments, because they don't make sense. You can't find moving averages. You're doing Fibonacci. You're trying to figure out where are we and where are we going, and the math behind what's generating these sheets is pretty magical from the standpoint of being able to dig deep into those numbers, generate and put them on a sheet, and all of that. So let's go ahead and let me come back up on screen. So we've got plenty of people in the room now. It's nice to not be on Zoom right now. So let's set this up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation. I built something that I think you folks will like. I'm going to start by building some sheets so we can review that again. There's still some people I've seen some comments both on Discord and on just email type things and on Twitter as well, but there's still some confusion about a couple things. So what I'm going to do first is set up a couple sheets, and then once we get things situated, we go through the typical setup. It'll take us probably 10 minutes to get through that. Then once we get the sheets set up, we won't do a full review of the sheet, but I will go through the segments, and then I'll go through this presentation. What I'm going to present to you today, I'm hoping that this is not much more than an hour to get through all this stuff, and we'll be able to get to questions and all that. But please, I'm just looking at question line. Just make sure those of you that are here that have TradeIQ and have questions, or even if you don't, once you go through there, just post your questions, and I'll go back and review the chat line once I get done with this. But I think one of the things that you'll see, especially in a day like today, it's perfect because we're trading in all-time new ground. That's why I wanted to show you the sheets that I did. So let's just go right in and let's start building some stuff. Get familiar with some of the elements of the sheets, and then we'll be able to get into that. So one of the things that I've showed everybody how to do, and I'm going to start at the basics here, is to set up like a Google split screen. And I like putting Trading View, got all the indicators up here, all the WaveTech indicators. There's 10 of them they have to have. It's all well spelled out on the advise.io website. So what we're going to see here, let's run a whole brand new sheet. So once you log in, you come into this panel here, and there's a button here, build your edge. So we're going to build a whole brand new sheet. Now we can do, since we're live, I'm going to build 2 sheets right now. I'm going to queue them both up at the same time. I'm just going to rerun the daily, I call it TIQ or sheet. Then we'll run that, and we'll run, and I should have done this, I forgot again, but I'm going to run a 4-hour chart, even though it's not going to be accurate. I meant to run this at 9 this morning, so I'd have that, so apologize. Matter of fact, there's something I'm working on once you have data, is where we can actually queue these up and have them run on a time queue for you. So let's go ahead. So we got a daily chart here. You have to have all these 10 indicators on here, and over on the far side, this little sandwich button, you'll just come over here, and I'm just going to do Control A, Control C, which captures all the data here, and I come over to the left-hand side where TradeIQ is, and I'm just going to paste that data in. And the validate button, when you click that, it validates that you have all the data. If you have one more indicator or one less, anything different than what it expects, it's going to give you an error. It's made to run just on this set of numbers to be able to generate all the math and everything that has to go on. It has to have that. So let's do this, and let's change the chart to the left to a 4-hour chart. Another Control A, Control C, and we're going to click on the left-hand side. Now we're going to click on the next button, number 2. You can queue 10 of these at once. We're just going to run this group of 2 here and validate. Once we've got all the data in there, we just click this bottom button here, and it's going to show you everything that's running. So it's running all the analytics on these 2 symbols on this symbol with the 2 time increments. It only takes about a little under a minute. So it says a minute 21 is what it is expecting to do, and it's showing you each process that's run. Now it's building the analysis. Okay, that's done. Strong bull momentum, accelerating. It tells you, gives you a little tagline here of what it's seeing. And PPM 1 at 31.15 is a big number. So we'll be done here in probably about 20 seconds. It takes about 4.5, little over 5 minutes to run 10. I think it's around just right 5:50 or so. It's almost 6. Okay, all done. So once it's done, you'll see this view the analysis. We click view the analysis. We have 2 sheets now. This was the daily. You'll see 1D, and it gives you, it's valid. So you understand that each one of these sheets are for 1 bar analysis. So it's a deep analysis just for 1 increment. So this could be a daily, a weekly, even a monthly. I ran a quarterly analysis the other day, and just know to run a quarterly analysis, I'm not sure, you need about 60 years of data to run that quarterly analysis. So the only thing that I know of, there might be some other symbols out there that has enough data, is SPX, and on the CBOE, that has, I think it goes back to pre-1900, okay? So you've got enough data. That's the only market I know that you can run that type of analysis on and run a 3-month. I ran one the other day. It's pretty spectacular on the numbers that came out. So, but on this bar that we're looking at here, this is started at when this bar started, which was yesterday at 6 o'clock New York, the overnight session, to the close today. And one of the things I'm going to show you today, I built some regime on trading that encompasses just the live session, we'll call it the New York session in the U.S. And you could, last night, it was huge, the trade that we got. We hit right after the London Open. Most of you know I'm up at the London Open every day, and actually beyond, usually a couple hours beyond. And at that, we hit that number that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to stay off screen just so we can do this analysis. You can see where it's showing right now, since we've updated all the metrics. One other thing I do want to say, this sheet is designed to give you real-time analysis at the time that you do the snapshot. So it's not, so you're going to get some different analysis as the market unfolds during the day. So if, one of the things, I think it's, down at the bottom here, I want to point this out, is grid levels market structure remained valid for the time frame. So when you ran it yesterday, it is no numbers are going to change. So it establishes what the regime is going to be for the entire overnight to close session till we close here shortly. And it says, for significant price moves, consider rerunning your analysis for accuracy. And we're going to do a quick contrast here in a couple minutes. Once I go through this, we'll come back to this. So this sheet has been based on the current is a bit different. Now it's showing, if you remember, it was an 80-some% probability. And if we could have run this at the open this morning, would have gave us a new snapshot to get this analysis and update the analysis. So I ran it last night before I did a live stream about 2 hours after the markets had opened in the overnight session. That's the stats I was showing you on the original sheet a minute ago. And we had 80%, I think it was 81%. We'll go back and look at it. It was 81% probability that these levels up here, 415 and 423, that's 74.15, were going to be hit. So we already had last night like high probabilities that we were going to go back above and attempt to print an all-time new high, which we have done. But the analysis, so this has been updated now too. Look at the target one now. It's updated the target. It's now 74.75 to 7,500. It's an extended range. Sustained derivative at acceleration drives momentum beyond current grid structure. That's telling you that it has the probabilities of taking the RXT value out. One of my dreams here is to ultimately have a live feed and a way to update these snapshots. That's my dream of this product evolution. That certain markets, it would be very difficult to run everything under the sun. I'd have to rebuild TradingView completely, and I'm not interested in doing that. But on a group of indexes, maybe there might be as much as 20, 50 symbols that are active symbols, including stocks that we could run this stuff on, and this thing could just be snapshotting and updating. That's my dream, and I'm usually pretty good at getting to my dreams. But this shows you the difference in contrast. So it's giving you a real-time. It gives you a real-time analysis of the snapshot, the very second moment when you snap that. Up at the top here, I'll show you one more thing here, that there's a timestamp when you make this. So up here you'll see it was updated at 11:29. It's set to local time. So the servers do two things. You get your local time, and you also have a New York time on as well on some of the stats. So most of us think, I've lived on the West Coast a lot of years, and I think New York time during market time, and the conversion. So I try to do that, but it keeps track of that. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, it'll pick up the way the servers that I'm on actually pick up the nearest server wherever on the planet that's closest to you. So it keeps it fast to run. But the bottom line here is these sheets are real time from the snapshot in that very moment that you capture. When you did that Control A, Control C, you have this completely captured that data, and you're running off of that. So you can see that if you read the data, compared it, and I would suggest those that have this access to TradeIQ is to compare and contrast to what it was telling you, whether the markets have changed negative. The commentary here is really intelligent. I spent really about a better part of a year developing the knowledge behind here and what these sheets know about how I think. I'm the creator of WaveTech. I know all the rules. If I can't tell you what's going on, we're all in trouble because I'm the creator and the architect of this. And it's, was started in 1984. So it's evolved and been refined for many, many years. And this is, it's phenomenal. When I read this because it doesn't miss anything. The other thing on the sheet, I'm just going to bring this up. So when you're looking at this, you're looking at this is telling us exactly what's going on, what's the characteristics are. You see it expanded and what the original analysis was to now it's in an extended mode. And this little market status, bullish lean, that's real important when you're making analysis of the sheets. And there's a video that I did last week. I showed you how to take this sheet that's being created and ran in Claude and then take the sheet and prompt this sheet to give you some further information on trade setups, and you can go and try to track some of these things. And there's a couple things you need to know, but you can watch that video, some basic ideas. What I'm doing right now is I'm building something called Trade Navigator. Trade Navigator is going to will have the next level of rules of what the prompting you won't even have to do. It's going to do it for you, and it's going to track the trades, and it's going to keep a track record. And there's some inputs that you're going to be able to add to that's going to help you craft your trades to fine tune them and customize them to what you're trying to do. So this tool is just going to become amazing. One of the things I've been telling folks that you need to remember, I'm building this for me. It's becoming a real-time model, which I've been wanting to have. Now I have TradeStation, which I've been using since 1991, I believe is when I started with TradeStation. And there's actual code in TradeStation, some user studies that I developed back in the 90s. And one of the Bill Cruz, the Cruz brothers founded it, but Bill actually sent one of this programmer who's been a friend ever since for 30 some odd years, that helped us build everything internal, so we knew that the easing language, everything we were doing was there. And so there's some of the user studies that came into that environment as well. But the point of what we're looking at here is, to me, I'm just fascinated by this. Like I said, the one thing down at the bottom here I want to show you is there's key insights, and there's a few things that I do when I come into these sheets. First one, read the commentary. After when you rerun it, especially on a day like today where market conditions have expanded or changed substantially from 2 hours after going back to yesterday at 8 o'clock Eastern time when I ran it in the overnight markets to what we just ran right now. So it's giving that real-time snapshot. It's giving you all of the elements, and down here are the key things that happen. I go through this because it's easy. We're humans. I know all the rules, and I get, I see a couple things and my mind goes, okay, this is it, go do that. But once you look at this, you can see some of the key events and things that are happening internally with the PPM. So those of you that have bought my indicators years ago, and over the last couple of years, there's thousands of you that have bought this. This is like a key tool to overlap, and this thing will teach you more about the PPMs than I could ever, because the joke of it is we're calling it Virtual Bob, and Virtual Bob is doesn't miss anything. The real Bob does, because I'm human and I get distracted easily. So these sheets are key. Let's go one more step with this, and then I'm going to start to get into this main presentation, which shouldn't be too long to get into. Okay, please, as you go through, make sure you guys give me some questions. That'll make it more efficient at the end so we can get out of here. Let's go to, I ran two sheets, if you remember. This sheet I'm running here, so I ran the 4-hour sheet. I have the 4-hour chart on the screen to the right. Let's blow up the scale a little bit. Now we can look at, so it says this expires at 6 p.m. Well, it doesn't. It expires at the close today. We have, when our next version comes out, we're going to have the exact time to the bar. Like I told you, this is for one bar. So this is analysis now for a 4-hour period. So the best deal is if you ran it at noon Eastern time, you'd have yourself covered to the close, and then you run one at the open, run one at noon, and those two blocks of data, then you'll have a further in-depth analysis of understanding what's going on within the market session itself. So we have the big picture of the daily, looking at it. We can start the analysis at overnight session. That'll cover us all the way to the close today. And then when we come into the market, but you can do this during the night too. If you're in London, like I run something at the London Open for the next 4 hours, you can bridge these 4 hours. Best I can tell, just so you folks, you want to understand the cost of running this. They're $1.25 a sheet to run. There's real cost involved in tokens and servers and all that stuff. It's not a big. I tried to make these things as lean as I could so people could run the sheets like they need. So typically one for overday, maybe an update if there's market. So that's 2, and maybe 2 4-hour windows when you're awake, depending where you are on the planet, to be able to cover those increments. And you could get down and do hourly chart. It just depends on the style that you're doing. So maybe you got 4 shots, you got $5 for a session to cover this thing with super smart intelligence. And if you looked at my work and you like it, this is just going to have the Virtual Bob is going to be with you throughout the whole day, and you can map it out. And one of the things that I'm going to show you here in just a minute, once we get through this, is I put some basic rules together on how to track and how to trade and stuff like this. I'm going to put this out on. I had threatened a week ago to get this out, but I'm going to get it out this weekend on the advise.io and advise, by the way, is a Z, A-D-I-V-I-Z-E, I-O, Z instead of an S. And so when we get that, anyway, you'll be able to get all of that updated, and you'll be able to see this. There's a PowerPoint I'm going to put up there, and there's a worksheet, which I'm about to show you. But let's take a look and just see what the analysis for 4 hour go, and then we'll get into the presentation. So bullish momentum building, not ending. It's this PPM right here. I'll highlight this is surging. 4 hour chart is painting compelling bullish picture. But once again, if you read through this, I won't break it down in depth here, but let's take a look at pattern target analysis, bullish momentum, multi-time frame alignment creating upside pressure, confidence 78%. Okay, let's look at the numbers here. On the 4 hour, we've got, right now it's at 74.23 when we took that snapshot a few minutes ago. You can see this 35 number right here, 97% chance, and 35 is RTX. RTX, oh, I'm sorry, 35 is around RTX on the daily. But we've got high confidence where we could trade as high as 40. We're pulling back right now. So what do we get to? Let's see, S1, 413. We're trading at 416 right now. So we're coming in to support. This sheet is a few minutes old and the markets are live here. So we're now looking at the pulling back into this 413 S1. We'll take a look. There's probably a little trade setup, bounce, intraday bounce setting up here. 413, 407, that's going to be your downside for this particular cycle intraday. And that gave us some breakout points, which we're not by. Right, it said 7, we breached 24, then you were looking at acceleration to the 40 number, 740, 7440. Rejection zone was support 13, so we've broken that. Support 2, deeper retest is 07. That's what, just looking at those, that was my analysis. So that's too bullish of a day to, you could see a pretty big pullback because it's also the end of the week. But this is giving you the forecast of what's likely here. These numbers are percentage-wise are blowing up just because of the volatility range that's happening. Now let's go over to the chart real quick. So this is, like I said, a 4 hour graph. So we're still within the regime of the channel that's being built. These orange lines are RTX and STX right here. And it's showing that we're flattening out here. Momentum, however, is stabilized. We're at 0.38. So if we see the 10 period moving average on this 4 hour chart, this is not very likely. Okay, let me just bring this up. We're looking at right now all the way at 73.92. That's right. That would be this STX level. That would be screaming buy. I would watch this low on this bar right here, which is 07. So that's also target. Look at here. There's 74.13, 74.07. So that's going to be right in where, if we see 13, that's going to be a pretty good number to, we're 3 handles off to be looking for a trade bounce. We'll come back and watch that. So coming back up just for a couple minutes here, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go through this presentation of showing you basically the trade up, how to actually use these to trade with. I'm just getting things set up on this screen here. So let's go ahead and get in there. So we're going to bring up the TradeIQ execution framework, and this will give us basic concepts and ideas in how to use these sheets on an intraday basis. And I'm going to talk about some rules that I'm formulating, and those of you and folks that I know that are on Discord, I want to have a discussion about what's going on, what you think of these rules. I've been working on them for a bit, but it's going to give you some good guidelines on how to look at these sheets, but then how to look at the markets and how to do them. All right. So let's start here. So the framework is the bridge between two things you already have. You have the analysis and the live action. There's some mechanical rules I'm attempting to give you on how to go through these things and trade them. We're looking at the TradeIQ sheet, and the framework, and then a 5-minute chart. I've set this up for kind of a 5-minute execution mode. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this, I'm building this navigator. And when building the navigator, what we're doing is we're getting it so that we can track it and find a trigger point. We could do a 1 minute's too much. 5-minute works fine. And I've got it set up so you're looking at these things. So what we're trying to do is, the goal here, and those of you who've been around me for a long time know, those of you that were in my old live trading room, is something I have said for years, the hardest thing you're ever going to do is discretionary trading. Anytime you're looking at a chart, letting your mind, your emotions, and everything come in and execute trades, that is the hardest thing you're ever going to do, because discipline is near impossible a lot of times. And until you I have looked at live screens and traded for so many times. We just hit that 13. I want to watch that trade that we were looking at a minute ago. We're trading into that range right now. But the thing that you want to do is eliminate, this is the goal here of this process, is to eliminate that discretion. The ultimate best thing to do, which is my goal here, is for ultimately, once you get some confidence in these rules, is this is basically what is being built in and being thought through on the navigator addition to the TradeIQ sheets, is this discipline. So we're doing everything to make it a systematic approach so that you can start to understand the triggers. Anytime you have a systematic approach, for instance, like my WaveTech portfolio product, there's a lot of times you can make a little better adjustment entries, but most of the time when you try to do it, you end up doing worse than if you'd have just followed what it told you, because you end up getting emotional and not doing the trade, and then you miss the trade, which is worse than having not the perfect entry. The perfect entry isn't as important as hitting the entry, as getting in and tracking the trade. So this is the goal here, is to get the discretionary mindset and the emotional mindset that goes along with that out of the picture. I have scalped and traded so much intraday that certain things I do I see it and I just respond and react to it. It's instinct more than anything else. I'll see it. I know it's there. Boom. I'm in. Sometimes I can't even explain why I entered the trade other than that I was in the flow in these numbers. It's like the matrix, right? It's coming at you and you're just making decisions. And I'm a scalper by trade. So intraday swing trading is not where I've spent a lot of my time, but I use the structure of that intraday. I might do, in one swing trade, might do 8 or 10 trades during that same sequence. I see the setup where it's going to go from X to Y, and I will literally scalp in and out of the zigzags within that move from X to Y. So this is the goal here, to try to get to this. So here's what you're going to need to run it. You need the TradeIQ sheet, 5-minute chart. You'll have live chart, the price alerts. You can actually put on, if you want, you can put some of these price alerts on. One of my goals is to automatically build the alerts right in. Because I can tell you this, when Navigator comes out, there will be a live feed, not tick by tick, but a live feed that the 5-minute values are going to come right into the Navigator sheet. So sort of like what I'm showing you now with the split Google screen. You've got left hand, you got the TradeIQ, you got your analytics and your data points, and on the right hand side you've got the actual trading view chart, indicators, the algos, projections, forward looking. You got a whole lot of stuff going on. I've told you in the past, when I'm in that mode, I mean it's literally, like the matrix for me. I can see all the flows of everything. And once you kind of train your eye, you'll get there. Well, I'm not going to count on you getting to where I'm at. That's a big ask. And in fact, when I gave everybody my indicators, I was asking, it was a big ask for you to figure things out. Some people have been frustrated, couldn't figure out how to make them work. Others did amazing. So that's the way with everything. Well, I'm taking all of that out by building TradeIQ, by putting this next navigator, this next layer together, and there is other layers coming. And one of the things that happened this week is I got deep into next layer environment, and at an appropriate time you'll talk about it, but there was too much flowing earlier this week that I just completely diverted myself from TradeIQ to get this out, because I know how the flow of consciousness works. But these sheets here, so you got all that, you got the price, and then you get your bracket orders. So you could actually put some orders. You could bracket some of this stuff if you want to do it. My goal is to, on Trade Navigator, bringing that back in the conversation, is to generate these orders. My ultimate goal is just to have this as a complete quantitative machine that just fires the orders right to the broker. With TradingView, you can hook your account with the broker. I'm going to figure out how to route this stuff. At least have something where click a button to confirm and your orders are in. Because the more that I can get you out of this discretionary thought process and the emotion, the stomach. I talked about this in my old trading room. There's a feeling in your stomach you get. I do anyway. That's where my feelings come in my stomach. And but when I get those feelings, I've learned how to respond to those feelings, both fear and opportunity, and how to do those things. So I'm taking all the knowledge of my trading, throwing it into this product, and these are my ultimate goals. I am not there. That's why I'm giving you this sheet right now. So we go on. I did some analysis in depth here. So we'll go next. I ran a 5-minute bar in a 6.5 hour, per 6.5 hour, how many did I do? I think I did 3 sessions. There were 78 decision points that came out. And that starts to bring, when you see this brings in exactly why this is so damn hard. There's 78 potential decision plays in every 6.5 hour real-time. That's what RT, real-time sessions. 95% of those points will be a no touch, no action. Streaming tick data is wasted on this strategy because there's way too many. You can't do that. So we start to, that's why the 5-minute chart, we're trying to, a couple things that I've talked about before. When you're real time, those of you who've been around the channels, one of my favorite charts to learn about the algos and everything I built into the entire process with the indicators is a 5-second chart on the E-minis. And it's an education to go in there and watch and see how they reform as new data comes in. It's fascinating to me. I've sat there for hours and watched that chart, and just to get a feel. There was a great feel off a 200 handle, 200 moving average on a 5-second chart the other day. It was a great intraday trade that was triggered off the PPM 200, just on a crossover. It was classic, the lineup. But so all of this stuff is very useful, but if you don't have the knowledge that I have, then you don't know how to use it. This is what I'm bringing to you. On the sheets, the knowledge, the decision points, and the key points are being recognized. There's going to be another level when you. So what I'm always trying to do is, if we have a real time and you're watching ticks, how do we slow that down? And there's a number that you need to slow it down to a point where you can make decisions. So otherwise the snapshots. So right now, 5-minute chart works really well. Just trying to slow the tick, tick, tick and all the crazy volatility down to a print. And I do the same thing on our money management, where we tell you don't use daily, go to a week. So a weekly print, slow it down so you can see the bigger movements, not just that you don't want to get to. That's where the emotion comes from, is watching volatility. Right before this sell-off that we had, it literally did what I call a flush, where the market just spiked up and it came right back down. To me, those are climactic moments. I look for flushes, what I call flushes, up and down all day long when you're day trading. But so you can see the complexity here and why this is an incredibly difficult craft to take on, especially if you're like when I'm trading, my face is 2 inches from the screen, not literally, but I'm in there, so I'm not looking at anything but what I'm seeing here. So we're looking at the PPM readings, aiming for entries, open positions. So you're looking at bracket orders, maybe stopping targets. There's going to be capitulation points, everything that you need to have in there. All right, so let's go to the next level. 3 pieces. Oops, I hate that. Sorry. The forecast line found under sentiment gauges reads leaning bullish. I'm probably going to have to go back and forth here just to get you back centered on this. But that's the area that I showed you, the couple places I go on the sheets. Let's just go over there real quick. A couple places I go on the sheets is this. I showed you the commentary. come down here, and this is, looking at these projected closes and the ranges and the pattern here. Here's the bullish lean. There's some things that you need to know. And when we get the navigator, that's what the navigator's going to be doing. It's going to, what's a bullish lean? What's this? Boom, boom. And it's just going to confirm. But you can do this. It's not hard. You can go and look at those numbers. And I'm going to show you something when I'm done. I've got a worksheet for every trade that I'm going to put out there. You can print it out, and it's a manual sheet. And I'll save the story about that sheet when we get there. So you've got, like here, we've got the timestamp sheet. I showed that to you a little bit ago. So these are the elements that you're going to have. Hang on. These are the things you're going to have with you there. So now we get 3 states, 3 decisions, and forecast line picks the side. So that's the leaning, bullish leaning. So my theory is I always trade with the trend. So if I have this sheet, 4 hour, 1 day, whatever, I'm trading with the trend. Like last night I said, you want to trade with the trend is up, and that treated you quite well for successful trading, going back to yesterday's sheets that I showed you at the beginning. This is what you need to have a bias every day. You got to walk in, and what's my expectation? That was the reason why I did the MarketGrid. That's the reason why the PPMs and the trying to come up with the values of like S1, R1. Last night I was saying the S1, R1 was firmly in the books. Well, it went to S1, which almost got hit. It was like 3 handles off, and it had happened early in the session last night. So if you ran this sheet last night early on, you would have picked up that trade. But it literally, you want to try to figure out what your range expectations are. This is intraday trading, right? We're going to do another one on swing trading and longer term trading. This is going to be an evolution of presentations, but this is for intraday, making decisions about where your decision points are. Because as I said, back in the days when I was on the floor, I used to run this sheet a similar sheet that I'm going to show you here in a few minutes. And that was to give me my plan, my battle plan for walking down, because we didn't have handheld computers in the 1990s, or, this didn't happen. This is PICO stays, Pacific Options Exchange. When you go down there, you're down there. You didn't have a computer in your hands. So you had pieces of paper. Everything was paper. Matter of fact, I was convinced there's some guys that got sick from the smell of that carbon paper that was all over the floor. It was, when they call it the floor, it was literally the floor. But all of that, so you want to have the battle plan. What's the plan? What is there a directional plan? Is there something that can happen that would disrupt that plan for today? Otherwise, is there a support point or the pivot point, something that you can go, okay, this plan failed. Best laid plans always get disrupted, right? So you get these 3 states. Long only, you got bullish leaning, short only, and neutral. Like if it's 52, it says it's neutral. First trigger wins. Give me a trade. So as soon as I get a trigger on one of the sheets, that's where you're going with that trade. It's an open day, so to speak. It can go either way. It doesn't matter what happens here. So here's a comment down here. why direction is strength? Execution follows direction, not strength. A neutral sheet leaning bearish means short-term trades, more of a scalper environment. When I see neutral, that means don't expect anything to follow through at all. Everything's going to be it's probably one of those choppy days. And if it does break some metrics, breaks R1 and there's triggers, the sheets are going to have you covered on all this stuff. I've been trying to, this is probably one of the better sessions. I'm explaining exactly what you should be responding to in this environment. All right. So here we go. This, you start to look at some setups. Long, R1, target R2, maybe an R3 target. There's one of the things that is not covered here, which I will cover, is how to do trade setups that have multiple entries and multiple exits based on certain things. That's a whole nother course that we need to do. But this is just straight out, you're looking for one trade. R1, R2. Sometimes you try to get cute and think it hit R2, so I'll get short and trade it back to R1, whatever. Short, just the inverse of that. So just some comments I put in here, like reaching for R3 or S3 is a separate decision. I'm just trying to keep it into these boxes that you know you can go in and get out and you can grab those. And the volatility that we're operating in today, this volatility levels that we're operating in today, you have the price swings are amazing. I mentioned the other night that we used to have days. I remember, we'll go even maybe pre-pandemic, back in 2015 to 2020, the volatility, the range for a day would be between 12 and 15 handles. I remember having days that the S&P had 7 handles. You know, I don't even know what we are today, but you know, we've got to be 60. So 7 handles for an entire day. Average day was 12 to 15. A big day was 20 handles. Now we're in a whole nother, there's 2 things that happened. The prices that where the market was around 2,200 S&P, not 7,000. So that in itself makes price movement relative to percent change a lot wider. But what it does, it gives a lot more opportunity for a product like this and for trading like this. Is that this was a tough day. The only good thing about the old regime that we operated in is you didn't have to worry about getting blown out, because they weren't going to run the market, 40, 50 handles on you, right? They were going to run it 1 or 2. So you didn't have the risk levels are much higher. Discipline is much more important than it was back in the old days. Not that it wasn't important, but now you get on discipline and stay in too long or violate a rule, it's going to cost you, and it could cost you your entire account and your entire trading career. All right. So now we'll get into some rules here. And this is going to be fairly detailed here, folks. I've been wanting to get something out like this. So number 1, sheet picks the side. We just went through that. Number 2, entry is a touch. So by the way, that 13 trade got triggered, it's trading 17 right now. So 4 handles off of that. What we looked at on the 4-hour, it was a 4-handle trade right there. And it's still working. There's more in this trade. Probably going to go back to 20. But just by knowing that that was the extreme numbers on that 4 hour, we were able to make that determination. Sheet picks the side, touches the entry. PPM 1 must align. And I've talked to folks, and I mentioned this in my nightly videos I do, is, you know, we get a Fibonacci projection. Do we have PPM confirmation? Meaning, does not only is the PPMs positive, you can bring up the algos. So I'm going to go over to the sheet for a second here real quick, just so you can see this, is if we have new potential, I mean, I just want you to see this. This aligns with what we're talking about. This was that 07 number. Over on the sheet over here on the left was 1307. It lined up right against the low of the previous 4 hour bar. So we're seeing that setup happen, and we came. Let's see what the exact low. Look at that! Oh my, we hit 0750 exactly. $07.67 was that number. We went right to it, so it could have got, instead of coming in at 13, could have got another 5 handles. It turned, the trade was the 07. That was your touch. But that's what we talked about 20 minutes ago, whatever it was. That trade set up perfectly off the 4 hour chart right there. That was the near exact number. I had one of the users, somebody I know well off of Discord, actually came in and said, how does it do that? You know, but the probabilities were there. I looked at that screen, you could see it was right on the sheet, and the trade was 07, and now it's trading what 17, so it's 10 handles if you went with that. But I said between 13 and 7, that's your buy area. That's what had been established off of that chart. I got so distracted, I forgot what I wanted to show you over here. Let me come back over here for a second here. Yeah, so the PPM must align. So going back, oh, that's just so bad what I just did. Oh boy. The bet, oh, hang on a second, okay, folks. I actually closed the TradeIQ sheet by accident. I clicked, all right. Bear with me while I fix this. That I hate those tabs going back and forth like that. All right. I hate it. All right. I hate when this happens. I'm going to come up screen so you don't have to watch me do the. I clicked on the little X. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the presentation. I don't want to lose the flow, and I'll come back to that. Let's just stick with this. This is too important to break the flow. So, so the PPM must be, all I was going to show you is that the PPMs were in alignment with that bounce. And we knew that from the 4 hour sheet. And the next is the stop target are predetermined. So this comes through a concept that I've talked about for a very long time, which is the last time that you're going to be objective in a trade, This is discretionary trading, looking at charts like we're doing and making trade decisions. The last time your objective is before you put the trade on. Once you put the trade on, you're now subjective, meaning you're going to make all the mistakes and emotions, and it becomes about your money, and it becomes about the wrong things. And that's why a few slides ago I was talking about what I want to do is eliminate that part of things, okay? So that needs to be predetermined. Whether it's will mechanically put trades in. I usually don't enter the stops in. You know what happens with those? They tick you out by one tick and then reverse and go up, and you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't had to stop in. If you don't have it in and it collapses, then you're spending more money. So, but I usually just I have a hammer on ready to get out of those trades. If they get triggered, I'm out. You can always come back in. And outside of this mechanical structure I'm trying to put together here for you, this is important to understand from the standpoint of you need to have these mechanics to eliminate as many of those events as you can. You're never going to eliminate all of them, okay, other than having a mechanical system and it's quantified and it puts the orders in, and you're just sitting with your arms crossed, okay, watching it happen. Outside of that, all of the things that can happen will happen, and your job is to eliminate as many of those discretionary emotional and mistakes that you make, like clicking on a little X on a presentation. It just take me it just is disruptive when those things happen. So what I'm going to do is just put another TradeIQ sheet. I'll get it figured out here in just a minute. But the point is that is got to be mechanical, because you're gonna mess it up. There's no way around it. And then 5, re-enter on fresh triggers. So each trigger is independent. So everything that's set up, I mean, to me, when I walk in, when I get you folks to understand, even through Navigator or through mechanical, what I'm teaching you right now, how to do this, you'll never want a day without one of these sheets. And I'm going to tie that statement together here in a minute because of what I have built for you so that you can track these. You can redesign them for yourself. I'm even would encourage that, but I'll show you what I put together. So we're getting there on this sheet. Okay, so now let's take a look. And so sheet, this is what I was already at. Sheet picks the side. So let's break this down. So once again, I went through this. This is more detail. I'm going to put this PowerPoint on the advise.io website. So this is just a little bit more. You don't want to arm both sides simultaneously. Original error was built to correct. Yeah. So this is part of the stuff. So here the entry is not a close. The long is armed when the 5-minute bar high reaches R1 from below. So these are just more of some of the triggers here. So here we go. PPM must align. This will break this down a little better. PPM long filled arm. PPM it's got to be greater than 0. In fact, it's going to be greater than probably 0.25 or in trend mode most of the time when that happens. And the same on the inverse side. So here's a case study. On May 4th, I put some things together. So PPM 1 filter was blocked, price rolled 6 points. PPM. I was hoping to be able to show you some of these details, but filter blocked 0.21, rolled 6 points. Without the filter, those would have been instant drawdowns. So because of the way these things set up, they kept us from getting into a trigger. So bracket mechanically. So you could put your stop, you got your target. So you could stop in, you could go in and do the re-entry on fresh triggers. After any exit, you could come back and re-trigger another entry point. So you just want to be able to get these things to be as mechanical and set up. And you'll see when you see the worksheet here where it's at. Let me just all right. So this is when I set this framework up for real-time US. Sorry, I keep trying to scroll down in it. So pre-open, generate the sheet, read forecast, pick side, note levels on paper, set 5-minute alerts. So you could have it so you're getting triggers so you know when your 5-minute increments. The nice thing with TradingView, it has a timer on a bar. It shows you when the expiration of the bar is coming. That's what some of the technology on version 2, I've found a way to get into PineScript and get those numbers to trigger. So that's going to be, there'll probably be one more indicator that I'm going to build just for timing and some other elements that I want to bring in, and I'll bring those into the sheet at that time. Cash open, touch levels, so you want to know where those are. That's why you could put some alerts right on your screen. My better point would be, you could just put the orders in, and then rearm once they get triggered. You can just put them back on again, and then cash close. Any trade that's open, you close out at the end of the session. So I put some things together. There were some levels that were hit on May 1st. I ran some sheets. It made 22 handles. There was literally an entry touched and target were hit. So it was 22 handle, $1,200 on a trade. And then on May 4th, there was some triggers there. 5-minute, it kind of breaks it down. Like I said, I'm going to post this out there. I want to get over to the sheet so we can get to questions and see what comes up there. So 4 ways people break this framework. Most failures come from pattern matching on results instead of following the rules. Trading both sides. I put this bias in there because when you are sitting in front of your terminal and trading, it's very easy to see these swings and want to trade them. I know for me, it can be my best day or my worst day because I did that. Failure 2, moving stops, tightening, all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's okay if you're locking in, but typically what happens is the targets on these things are hit fairly good. Like what we were showing a minute ago in the sheet, we were literally looking at that 07 was a perfect hit. I mean, that was great to have happen real time in front of everybody. So we're really looking at those elements there. Skipping PPM 1 check, you got to always confirm you've got that nice thing there. Let me yeah, I'm going to stay right here. I'm just going to go through the sheet and go from there. I'm sorry, my wheel is causing that. So adding discretion to the forecast, reading, learning bearish, but not going long because the broader trend is up. But once you overrule the forecast, you're running a different strategy. Backtest results no longer apply. So one of the things that I'm also building on Navigator is I'm building in that track record, backtest, evaluation. Everything I've ever done has always had this complete transparency. So once Navigator's there, you're going to be able to see what kind of capture rate, different elements that are going to come out. But for right now, you just need to map this stuff out and keep the flow going. I think this is possibly the last screen here. Yeah, this is it. Discipline lives in the rules, and I've talked about that all the time. And my favorite line: process over attitude and an opinion. You got to have the process. You got to do it. Read the sheet once. Let the levels do the work, and that's really the message here. So let me come up and get the next sheet set up, and this won't take long to go through. Let me just make sure I got the right one here. Make sure you give me some questions. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to questions here. I had all this set up theoretically. All right, I'm going to use this. I've got a different one. I'm not seeing it in my downloads at the moment, but let's just go ahead over here. So I'm going to tell you a quick story here while I have this sheet on the screen. Is the whole concept of TradeIQ came from what I did every day. And I used to have a worksheet that I put together similar to this. This is a worksheet. I have one better designed. I not finding it at the moment. I'm not going to worry about it, but it's the same thing. But you have basically you fill out the date, the symbol, and you put you check the boxes. Leaning bullish, you set up everything. So I've got all these rules set up for you, so you can do it. Even a session log, and then end of day totals. So your trades. This to me will be what ties it together. This is what when I talked about this, if those of you've been in these meetings before, what you're seeing here is the layout similar to what I used to have. I used to have little boxes for S1, R2. It was a different analysis. It was actually breaking it down a little bit further. But this is exactly what you need to have, some of that discipline to get that discretionary, to write it down. Listen, I'm an old guy. I write things down. I'm thinking about putting this in a React sheet that you just enter values and it stores them for you, like within the product. I haven't figured out exactly. I'm going to be looking for some feedback from you folks, but we'll start to literally see what's going on with the markets and how to fill in and how to follow these rules. And I've got one more trigger. This other sheet looks a bit different, has a couple other entries, but this will work for explanation. So you just want to have, everything that you did. And what I really want as well, there's some pretty good products out there on the street for journaling, but I've preached journaling for lots and lots of years, for decades. If you journal around a lot of these decisions, you'll start to bring out the mistakes that you're making, and you can comment about them. And what I want to do is actually put it together almost like a quarterback scorecard, right? What you're rating, and what you're rating for the day, the week, the month, the year, and really be able to track your analysis and being able to do these things. That I've got some interesting goals off of that started with TradeIQ and the guidance off the sheets. To the next level is building rules, and then and also being able to track intra, and then ultimately be able to track how the progress is going. How do you evaluate the situation? You have 2 or 3 tough days in a row, and you're going to be really frustrated, and you're going to feel like you're just failing, and progress takes a while to get through anything when you're learning. So you're definitely going to be able to help. This is step 1. It's a mechanical, rudimentary step in following the things that I just talked about. So that will be something that we can build on. And like I said, the navigator, I'm targeting June for this next level. But this is going to be a game changer, especially with things that happened from the things that are going to be able to build on and get this track record and all those things happening. So, all right, we made it. Pretty smooth. All right, so let's take a look, see what kind of questions you folks have. As I said, let's see here. There are going to be other sessions on swing trading and longer term yeah, so like the pricing, if you go to advise with a Z, advise.io, you'll be able to get all the pricing, but the pricing right now is $197 annual fee, and you get 10 sheets with sign up, and then it's $1.25, and you can buy packets of sheets. I think 10 sheets is $12.50, and like I said, that's the basic pricing. Yeah, this is a beauty. Some said go through the PPM decision point again, but more in detail. The sheets do it. You don't need to know. Yeah, those PPM triggers and all that's pretty well documented. And then that's the beauty of the sheets. You don't even need to know anything. But it's that was just to show it has to be greater than 0. I probably should have. For a trade trigger, it just needs. This is different. This is intraday. If you're looking at a trade trigger, you're not expected you're buying S1 that it's going to be in trend mode at that moment. So that's not as much of anything else than that. Let me just. It would be nice at this moment to hear your voice and actually try to articulate out better. Paulina, let's see here. Ran a sheet the other day on Tesla. R1, 2, 3. Very close to another R1. What length of chart was it? Was it daily? What was it? Yeah, so if it depends on the volatility. Okay, I think like I said, the questions would be helpful. Maybe we could do a Twitter. I think I'm understanding what you're saying here. So, yeah, they were probably close because it sounds like it was a 4-hour sheet. Yeah, so if the 4-hour, if it's not a lot of volatility, you're not going to get a lot of range expectations out of that 1 hour. Yeah, so they are going to be very close because it depends on the hourly swing value, meaning if you look at the whole spectrum, let me. I'm bringing something up. I'll bring back up on screen here. So this is the thing to keep in mind. So all right, let me bring this back on screen. So here's a 4-hour chart on Tesla. So if you pick like these a couple hours where the charts are very tight and the ranges are tight, then all these numbers are just within that top range. Let's build one, okay? Let me. Bear with me while I log in here. 1 second. Bear with me. I'm just going to set something up real quick here. All right, so we're going to build a sheet. I brought up, this is a 4-hour Tesla. Is it? No, it's S&P. Put Tesla up here on a 4-hour. You get a little volatility here, but what I wanted to show you, when you're looking at bars, and let me just get one running while we're... When you're looking at bars here and they're close together and they don't have a very big range, then the numbers are going to be very, very close together, because you're looking at the closing value, Fibonacci brackets above and below, and then the extreme, which is the typical range. So if you have a flat range, you're doing short-term charts, and the values are going to be fairly close together. This thing's got 10 seconds to go, and we'll take a look. I'll get off screen here. Okay, so when we look at the range here, 438, 417, so 17 handles, and you look at 31, 33, 36, 38. So this is, there's a target in here too. There's a fib target right here. Matter of fact, it went right to the fib target, stalled and rejected off of there. And you get V tops. Wow, that bar right there last hour was the perfect V top, inverted V. Pretty good sale there. But anytime you go intraday, especially on a stock, you're going to have, it's 425, so the extreme is 438, and the downside 17. Oh, that's a high target. 18 is the downside target. So we're trading below S1. And where did we go to? That's something else that I think would be nice, is marking what levels have been reached already too. So yeah, we got up to 431. So we got right to R1. It rejected right off R1. That was 74% probability. So R1 was the target on the upside, rejected. Now we've taken out S1 at 26. It's at 25. Next level 23, 21. So can you articulate further why you didn't, what you didn't understand about those price projections, maybe? But you're going to have those values are all going to be very close, unlike if we ran a daily. That's why I suggest to run it a daily to contrast with the increments of the trade themselves, meaning you're going to run, you're going to have the perspective of the daily range on the sheets, and now you're trying to do an intraday trade or something, you want to block out that 4-hour blocks, and then you can see this tight range. You can see where the trigger points are. Should be able to reconcile that with the daily. Where's the key point on the daily? And I just put daily up here. So I should have ran that at first. Let me just run a daily Tesla. We'll use this as an example. So if you run these shorter increments, the bars you have a smaller range that you're expecting. That's a 4-hour. An hour would be completely. I should have ran that. That's okay. But yeah, so when you're running a 1 hour, you look at the whole spectrum of the range. That, like, I ran the 4-hour, not the 1 hour. But I would break it down. The 1 hour is going to be really tight. I don't know what you were trying to do analysis of to be able to see what you were trying to see there. If it was trying to fine tune an entry point or something like that, you're going to need something. And Tesla is probably a good case for having a reasonable amount of movement. I'm going to put the, yeah, okay, so I did run the hour. Okay, good. So when we look at this hour, like your 28, yeah, okay, that's what here's another snapshot here. R1, 26, 27, like a Dower, another Dower. So that's just this one bar. And look how narrow the bars I've gotten on this hourly chart. So you can see that they're just really tight. You're not going to be able to get much of an analysis out of that hourly chart. So I think the 4-hour daily break the day into two different ranges is probably the right way to go. Let's see here. So it was Tuesday, May 5th for 10 handle. Unfortunately, I can't upload. I don't know what that means. I can't upload this sheet here. Yeah, okay, okay, folks, let's see if there's any other. Okay, yeah, Chris, good question. Real quick, I'll go to that. Can you summarize here, beginning, what's required, necessary to implement the strategy, for example? Okay, yeah, so great question. I've got my split screen going again. So here's the things you need to be able to run this whole strategy. You're going to need the WaveTech indicators. You're going to need TradeIQ are the two things, and you're going to have, if you want to do real-time intraday, you're going to have the top level trading view with real-time. You can do the delayed. You can probably, I don't know. You could probably run the sheets off the delayed. That's probably not a big deal to get the sheets and the values, but you're going to need that. So you're going to have TradingView Premium, the WaveTech indicator suite, and that's like discounted to $447 right there. Then you're going to have TradeIQ. It's a annual payment of $197 right now, and you get 10 sheets free, and then you pay $1.25 when you run one of these things. So on trading days, you might spend between $3 and $5 if you're a day trader concentrating on a market. Like I said, the typical setup would be a daily sheet, get a spectrum of the day. You might even run a weekly on Monday, so you have that context. You run a weekly expectation Monday. Also on Monday, you run a daily, and then you can break the day if you're an active trader into two parts. One, run a sheet at the open, one a sheet for the last 4 hours of the session, and get everything run out. So once you get there, the TradeIQ is an annual update for the membership. It's not just a one-trick pony. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming. And the way I've designed the whole TradeIQ advise environment is you pay for what you use, right? What was it? Liberty. Pay for what you need. And so there'll be different elements and things that'll be a charge, but it's going to be pretty nominal, like $1.25 a sheet. And like I said, I'm figuring maybe active trader have those 3 sheets, so you're going to have, $3.75 for one market. Maybe you add another one. You might spend $5 on the market just to get set up for that day, and then you're good for the day. You run a weekly. You got a spectrum look for a week. If market conditions change a lot, you might update some of the sheets if you get a big day like what we're having today, and the markets are up big numbers. By the way, that '07 trade's still running. It's now 21, printed almost 22 here just a minute ago. So the point is, yeah, that's all you need for the spectrum. Once again, just a trading view account with premium, with real time. The other thing that you're going to need is the WaveTech indicators. And what happens when you go to TradeIQ, when you answer, all you have to do is say, do I have the WaveTech indicators? If you say no, one of the things on the checkout procedure, you'll get set up for TradingView. You sign up, you'll get the indicators. They'll automatically go in your account when you buy them. You just have to put your username on your TradingView in there. It's cap sensitive. If anything gets screwed up, it's usually somebody fat fingers their username on TradingView. But once you put that in, you hit click. It just within less than a minute, it's already put onto your TradingView account. They'll be in invite only, and then you're good to go. You got everything. There's videos and things. The good news with TradeIQ, there's also a button. Matter of fact, if I'm going to go back to this original sheet here, if you look above where at the top here, there's a blue button here. It says TradeIQ chart setup. So once you have them, all you have to do is hit this button, and it opens up a page like this. It's already saved, so I can't save, but you can just save this as TradeIQ setup, and everything you need is on that screen just by hitting that one screen. That's all you had to do is hit that blue button. It loads up everything. You have to save them onto your TradingView account. It won't show. I can't do that because they're in my suite. It recognizes that page, but it'll load all 10 indicators, exactly what you need, and you're good to go. And then once you get into this sheet, you just click on this build your own edge, and you're off and running. And like you'll see when you come in that you'll have available, you'll have 10 sheets free. There's other things you can see up here. I am a Quant Master level 6, so as you go through levels, you actually get free tokens as you go to levels. I think it starts off as a recruit. Next level is analyst. I forget all the levels right now. But at levels, there's different number. Once you get more and more experience, you go up the scale in understanding. And so you get a reward as you go down. So there's a little gamification going on there from that stuff. William is asking, come back up. William's asking what the difference between the WaveTech indicators and TradeIQ is. TradeIQ is doing the analysis of the indicators at expert level, at my level. So it's actually doing all the analysis for you. Don't have to have them. It just does deep analysis, taking all the math, putting everything together that will make it really easy. Like I said, it even teaches you because it's telling you what's going on with the different elements of everything. So. Yeah, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, 55, I don't know if he's still around 55 times 3. Not convinced of the product. No call made. I mean, that call on the 4-hour chart, I don't know. Unfortunately, it doesn't give me a timeline when that question was asked. It was up the scale. It could have been a while ago. And yeah, Todd, I'm not... 2 inches from your eyes. Hey, I'm 73. I don't wear any corrective lenses, so somehow I haven't ruined my eyes. But I get in there when I'm pretty intense. I'm gonna give it 10 inches, maybe not 2, but I'm zoomed in. That my whole view is right there. Just looking a couple more here, and then I think we'll do a closeout. Yeah, so somebody, I don't know if you're still around, downloaded Discord app yesterday. If you're not a member, you don't have access. I don't know if you are. Right now, the old Discord from the indicators are there. I've been struggling. Like I said, I got very distracted this week. Hopefully we'll get the new Discord going for TradeIQ, but it will be membership only. It's not a public. So I don't know if you're still around. Okay, it looks like I've washed out everything. If there's something... Yeah, I don't know. So just so you know, ultimately the Substack is going to get, there won't be any TradeIQ sheets in there soon. I'm working on a project. The Discord is not distributing those sheets. I've been putting them back in more at my convenience lately. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I don't know, I've revealed this, but I am, I've got so many projects going right now. One of the things that I'm going to do, I have I have deep Claude knowledge from all of the PPMs and the TradeIQ sheets. I'm actually working on I don't know what you want to call it, a live agent that you're going to be able to ask all kinds of questions on. And I don't know when it's going to be, but I started digging into that. It's been a crazy week, technology week for me, as I get a lot of issues. I can't talk to 10,000 people, which I believe will be a user base within a year. Especially when we start some of the advertising, we're not doing much advertising right now, not really pushing the product. So there's elements that need to be there that I need to support, and I'm not there yet. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with me in the early stages of this product that are here. There's a few hundred of you, so that it's, like I said, I'm not pushing at all. When we get on full push, I've got all kinds of tutorials, and there's a ton of work to do to get this thing scrubbed up to look like a pretty new car that you'd buy in the showroom. It's not there at the moment, but it will be, and just a matter of a little bit more time is. But I'm looking at some really amazing quality agents that very conversational, be able to explain this. I had a conversation with one of my best friends, Claude, and we can take all of the knowledge, everything that this thing knows about, which is everything on the sheets, and you'll be able to literally talk to it and have a conversation. I'm not sure how long the sessions, I don't know how it's going to work, but I worked through some elements yesterday that are showing me that this is a real goal. There's the things that are going to happen with this product right now is some tutorial. I think today was really good. I hope you folks enjoyed this. I think this will get a lot of folks kind of over the hump. I recorded it separately on another channel, on another device, so I have it recording. Hopefully I can edit this up and get it to look pretty good. But these are steps that we're making towards understanding how to use them. And it's like anything, there's a learning experience, and I'm learning with a lot of this with you. I've been using the sheets, but this has brought me into basically a next level understanding of how to articulate what I do. I've learned a lot from building this project, which I was the coder. Me and Claude put this together, but it was my knowledge and it was Claude's expertise that got this thing done. But it was a pretty amazing experience for me, and it just grows. I mean, I'm just trying to work on getting a couple of things in line so that I'm continuing to do the nighttime videos right now, just to stay in connection with everybody. But I really want to transition. I'm in the process of transitioning everything over to more ultimately an educational and trading channel than what it's been an analysis channel for years. And that's what it's been used for. It was good, managed to get up to about 50,000 subs on YouTube here. This is perfect because I can tell by the numbers on the channel right now, the people that are here are the people we've been hanging out with. So hopefully do me a favor and comment whether this was a good format, if you folks like this, and if or not. You like Zoom, tell me what you like, and that'll be good. Yeah, so Bo's saying that he's using weekly and 3-day charts for swing trading. I like that idea. That's a good one. Yeah, the trade IQ charts will go away. Yeah, on Substack they'll be there on occasion, but not as a feature. That was a testing ground for me to develop them and run them every day. I've got some ideas, so hang around with that because there's going to be some good quality things. I've got another project going with the Substack that were the analysis. You're going to get all the benefits. You just may not have all the charts. For $8 a month, it's not going to work. But it's been, but there's still elements of that analysis will be embedded in the Substack. It's just going to be presented a little bit different and probably more focused than throwing the whole sheet out and all that. Easiest thing is to start that. I'm trying to figure out how to combine stuff. Like if you get the membership from, and I think I have an answer, but I haven't thought it through. So just so you know, the membership, the TradeIQ, the advised membership, ultimately you'll have the sheets, but you also have the newsletter Substack. I'll probably keep Substack alive. I actually don't like it. Most people use it on via email. Email's limited what I can do. Also, I think the app delivery is good, but I look at the stats. I mean, it's less than maybe 7% or 5% of people use the app at all on Substack. And the nice thing about that, if you don't want to read it, you can play it. You can just click a button; it'll read it to you. It's pretty, and it's got good voice. But I'm going to be over the next, we'll say next year, things are going to change around the YouTube channel. Things are going to change around the technology. At some stage, Blueprint will be on the street, which is going to be an earth-shaking moment when I get that product out there. It's going to be pretty amazing. There's nothing on the planet like this. And I would tell you, I'm one of the few guys that could build this next level product. There's going to be TradeIQ, day trading support. There's going to be portfolio support, individual stock support for trading models. Everything that I have built over the last decades is coming into this environment in some phase. And you have an annual fee and you use the components as you want. You want to bring up, ultimately you want to bring up a trading model on a stock and weekly and have all the performance metrics and everything. You'll be able to bring that in. And I'm just trying to, there's a number of things that need to be thought through. And I would just tell you that was Monday through, we'll say Monday, starting Sunday through Tuesday night, into Wednesday. That's all I was working on, some of the new layouts of Navigator and then Ultimate. So TradeIQ Navigator is going to be individual trading of anything ultimately, okay? And then the next level will be portfolio management, all the stuff that I've done there. There's going to be risk metrics. It's going to be like walking into a golden corral. There's going to be a lot of different food to eat there, and you only have to pay for what you use. And it's a different model. There are going to be subscription models for people that are building customized environments, but for the most part, you'll be able to pay as you use environment. And I want it to be very friendly, very cost effective. And ultimately the plan is to tie it together with a broker or brokers that we can route orders right from the platform straight into where you want it to be and track it. So it's going to be a different, basically it's bringing in my decades of intelligence and products and skills into one environment. That's the plan. How long is that going to take? I don't know. It depends. You know, we raise some money and get more bodies around here working on multiple projects, and that'll happen. For right now, I'm building the prototypes, the direction, and then we're looking at some stage of really blowing this thing up. And this is kind of this is going to keep me alive, folks. Okay, this is a real passion of mine. So this is I think the best way to put it. This is kind of the legacy job that I'm putting together, and I want to build something that can go well beyond me. And I'm hoping maybe one of my friends at Interactive Brokers or Robinhood or somebody wants this thing when I got it built out. It's going to be a very valuable piece, and you folks will be part of that legacy. So I appreciate everybody that's coming on board right now. So good to be with you. We're going to get out of here, and we got 2 hours and 10 minutes, so that's not too bad. We got a lot there. So like I said, I've got a separate recording of the main part of this, and what I'll do is see if I can edit that up, harvest. If it's just coming out terrible, then I'm just going to go through what I did today and get everything cleaned and do a produced video. It'll be about the same amount of pain. Yeah, I appreciate that. I felt like today was really smooth. I think something about Zoom, knowing that you guys are there and I can talk to you, is very distractive to me. So this is, yeah. So, yeah, and okay, yeah, I agree. This felt very, very, very friendly to me and in my presentation mode, and I kept the focus. So anyway, have a great weekend, and we'll call it quits. I appreciate everybody, and we'll see you. We'll see you Monday. I'm going to keep the normal YouTubes going on for those that do that, but ultimately, like I'm just kind of giving a long warning signal that things are going to change a lot. And they need to change for me not to have any anything to distract me whatsoever as far as this project, because this project is key to me, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think it ultimately will help millions of people, because when you see what Prism is becoming, like I said, this was a big week for a product that I only have mentioned. For me, there was a lot of progress, crazy amount of progress made. And I think I need probably 3 or 4 more weeks just to get that plotted out, because I try to do everything with a plan, just like with trading. So I'm designing as much as I can right now as the core. And I got a lot done this week. I'm pretty impressed. So folks, have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Take care.